What is up, A-Team? Welcome back. Awesome here. Hope everyone's having an awesome day. So yes, we're going to continue to talk about Ripple, XRP, the SEC, because as you guys know, January 15th is fast approaching, and everyone is kind of waiting on the sidelines, wondering what is going to happen on January 15th. And again, I think a lot of us can speculate and think about what could happen and maybe what we want to happen. And I think a majority of us want this to actually be extended and pushed down to maybe into February or something like that, so that when the new administration comes in, Paul Atkins, David Sachs, and all them could actually make a decision to push this forward and maybe drop the case completely. That's what we kind of want. However, we don't know what's going to happen here. Gary Gensler, John Reed Stark are obviously still in office, are still running the SEC, and so anything is possible. And although this will be 5 days before the Trump administration comes in on January 20th, we don't know what to expect here. But one thing I can say is that I think John Reed Stark coming out and saying what he said about Judge Torres is probably not going to look too good, or actually it could damage the SEC even more, because now you're out here being critical of a judge's decision. And I think that this could actually send some shockwaves across anyone hearing cases when it comes to the SEC and crypto now, because you're out there being critical of a judge's decision. And so he did come out here on the Docket Media podcast and put this out there in the public. I mean, this isn't just some made up story or some hearsay. He actually is out there on video on the Docket Media podcast saying this to everyone. And he basically came out and said, there are so many things about the Ripple decision that people get entirely wrong because I don't think they read it. And he says it's respectfully to Judge Torres. I think she was mistaken on multiple accounts. So he's actually out here saying that she was mistaken. And then it's kind of like he said, no one read it, no one understood it. And then he goes out and says that basically Judge Torres is probably in the same boat, doesn't fully understand it, yet she's out here making a decision on it. And I think that that's actually kind of crazy that he did this. And one thing he says is he argued that the lack of the direct relationship between Ripple and retail investors meant they weren't protected, which he believes is an unfair argument. Stark compared it to buying stocks in companies where investors don't have a direct contractual relationship with the company, but are still protected under securities regulations. That's one of his arguments here. He also criticized that Ripple's decision for creating confusion, especially after pro-crypto companies began citing it to argue that tokens were not securities. In response, the SEC sought an appeal, hoping to stop the ongoing proceedings. And it said, however, the judge rejected the SEC's request, saying that the Ripple decision could not be used as precedent unless the exact same circumstance were present. And as you guys know, this hearing went on. We were actually watching this live on the channel. We were listening to it. There's a lot of publicity about this. And this is where the comparison came into trading cards. The comparison came into the Beanie Babies and all that kind of stuff. And how do you determine what's a commodity versus what a security is? And so again, there's definitely some discussions with this to be had, but she basically came out and said that she did not believe it was a security. However, they did say that there was the secondary market, which is actually what's being disputed right now, is that the secondary market is where XRP was traded to exchanges. That could have potentially been some kind of securities or something like that. And so that's sort of what's up in dispute right now. However, when you're looking at this, it's just kind of crazy that we're still arguing over whether it's security or not. Yet we still have Bitcoin right now as an ETF. We have Ethereum as an ETF. They're not going after any other cryptocurrency. They're only going after Ripple. And it's kind of just mind-blowing that that's the only cryptocurrency that they are in dispute about. Obviously, they put Wells notices to Binance. They put Wells notices to Coinbase exchanges and things like that. But there's no other cryptocurrency project out there that is actually going to battle with the SEC. Ripple's the only one. And I continually ask myself why. Because Ripple's not the only project out there that has done this, has launched a project, had tokenized assets, put them on exchanges. People are still doing it today with meme coins and things like that. It's just crazy to me that the SEC is still going after them for this, but yet they're not going after anyone else. And so I don't know why. It's kind of crazy how this is. It makes me think that there's a bigger picture to this, that maybe a lot of us think that, like, hey, maybe they really are going after Swift. Maybe they really are, scared of what Ripple can do and how it's going to basically change a lot of the financial systems out there. And maybe they don't want that. There's just so many conspiracy theories that are out there. But I just thought it was crazy that you had someone come out here who is the right-hand man of Gary Gensler criticizing the judge who is overseeing this case. And it's just wild. But one thing that I do want to point out here is that on January 15th, they are actually going to go through a proceeding here. And so a lot of people want to know, like, what will happen on January 15th? And it says the SEC has requested an extension to file its principal brief with the ongoing XRP lawsuit. It says a new deadline was filed for January 15, 2025. And it said, according to one of the attorneys, the part of the case is strictly about paperwork. No new evidence or jury trial. There are 2 appeals in process, one from the SEC and the other from Ripple called a crossed appeal. It said each side will submit an opening brief followed by an opposition brief, and then they'll reply to the briefs themselves. After that, there's about a 15-minute oral argument in front of 3 judges. He also said that the argument will be brief. It will be crucial as the judges' questions can provide insight into their initial thoughts on the case. However, he also said that the entire process could take up to 1.5 years. Despite the short duration of the oral arguments, this could take up to another year for a decision to actually be made by these judges that are going to be overhearing this. And I think that's absolutely crazy that another 1.5 years could be made just off of this 15-minute oral argument over paperwork. There's no new evidence, no nothing. I think that that's just wild to me. It's kind of crazy. So I'm hoping that, again, we have a new administration coming in that is obviously pro-crypto, and I hope that they can actually just put a kibosh to this. It says, even if the legal case continues, supporters remain optimistic that a new government will implement the right measures to support the crypto industry. And I think that's exactly what we want, and I hope that's exactly what we get. And that's what I'm saying. I hope there's just an extension that's put in here. We don't even go through what could potentially happen on January 15th with all the new hearings in front of the judges, and then we just push it down the road. We let the Trump administration come in and make a ruling on this. And that's what I'm hoping, but to each our own. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that January 15th is going to be a big day. We're obviously going to be watching it. We're going to be streaming it. We're going to be hearing everything about it, and I honestly can't wait. So this will be a big day for XRP. If XRP actually wins this case, XRP, I think, the guardrails are off. We're going to see some crazy stuff out of XRP, and I know there's a lot of doubters out there that don't believe that, but we're already seeing it now, and we're going to see it here come January 15th and even into February. So, but yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you think that the good old Stark himself has buried himself with Judge Torres, because I sure think he has. So with all that, let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. With all that said, we're out. Peace out, everyone.